The first slide, persistence pays off. Prove It Act becomes law. I think that happened earlier this year. The Prove It Act, one of the first steps toward a carbon price, which more and more climate activists and scientists believe is the most important policy we can do. When we started 10 years ago, we had a few economists and not many climate scientists who were with us. Now it's much more. So the Prove It does a study of the relative, the carbon content of major U.S. products so that we can then put a fee on products coming into the U.S. which have a very high carbon footprint.
And Prove It is an organization?
No, it's a law.
The federal law.
Federal law.
It's just that it's an acronym, I'm guessing.
Yes, and I do not know what every letter stands for, but they like to do that.
I have it at home, so I can see.
Okay,
The book I have.
summer conference recap, isn't that? Well, okay. Aurora just gave us a little bit. So would we have Matt, Jeff, and Kalpana? Do you have any comments you'd like to share about the conference?
I do. I prefer to go last though.
Well, I would say that, Flannery was saying how one of the comments was that there are so many young people. And I brought that up to Murray and Ham, and we were in a steering committee meeting, just four of us, Grace, that's something that was striking for me, that there are so many young people at the national conference, but we don't have enough young people. We may have it, we have them, but we don't see them. We don't see them in our meetings or our events as much.
And of course, Aurora did come earlier, but
Yes, I don't know.
And yes, well, we certainly want to welcome more people of every stripe. But yes, it was. I also, every one of my meetings had young people in it. Usually, almost all of them had two.
Yeah, like Matt and I were in a meeting with a 17-year-old high school student from Leander. So she's in Cedar Park chapter, they call it, or Georgetown.
Yes.
That Paul Gone heads.
Yes.
And so that's why I had brought up the fact that maybe we should have a quarterly meeting together of the chapters or all the people in this area. So we get to know them.
Okay. Jeff?
Yeah, it was a good conference. I think it was smart. It used to be 2 days, the conference when I first started going, and now it's too long. I think they were able to get everything in 1 day, and it's just I think the timing was good for this particular issue of permitting reform. I think people are talking about it on the Hill, so I felt like there was that we were there making an impact, and we were well informed about the issue, so it was pretty straightforward to say we need more energy for cheaper prices. For one thing, I think that's something probably everybody could agree on. So we had a good presentation to give that I think could resonate with all of the offices.
Yes. Definitely.
Matt?
No, okay, so
That wants to be last.
Victoria.
Okay.
Victoria.
Victoria's good.
A lot of us went from this chapter, so it's nice.
Oh. I guess I want to add something regarding to youth. Our granddaughter, Andrea, was her third conference. She's a rising senior in high school, and she's quite political on many issues, namely, well, the one she had said has always been at the top of her list is economic inequity. She's grown up with some poverty. she's biracial, she uses the word mixed. She's seen a lot about problems with racism and inequity. And after this conference, she said, that issue is really important to me, and it always will be, but climate is way up there. Climate is probably equally important to me now. And that conference put her over that edge, which I found interesting. She's not just going along with us. I mean, she never really was just going along, but she's really made it hers now. And she may not be able to go back next year because starting college. It may be the same week of the conference, but if that's not true, she really wants to be back. And she cares about the people. She felt included. And I just wanted to add that. And for me, it was a good conference. I had one meeting was confidentiality. I can't really talk about it, but one meeting where the aide was so well prepared and had so much information for us about the struggle and the strength of the permitting reform and what was going on in the House. It was just exciting to be part of that. So that's me.
You be part of that. It is exciting to be part of that.
Of the hearing about the process of what's going on in a daily basis at Gulliver. And I can't talk about the details, so I am vague, but about what obstacles are to a comprehensive permitting reform act and who's working for it and who we need to recruit. I mean, it's just lots of information. And it was exciting to me to be the note taker, taking down all this information about what's going on a regular basis.
You know, that's sort of West Wing, right?
Yeah, I felt like West Wing. That's exactly right. I was want to be CJ, and I'm not.
I'd like to add one quick piece. Two of my energy aides that we met with said, it's too late. There's no way we can get it passed. We have this bill and this bill and this bill that we have to pass. And I said, well, you know, last year we got our bill by it being attached to one of those bills. And he and she said, you know, I guess that could happen. And I also told him that the Senate was we thought we're close to a bipartisan agreement on the language of the bill. So if someone says it's too late, remember it can always be attached at the last minute to a bill that they kind of have to pass. And if amendment gets it attached to the bill, everybody votes for it because they can't not fund like the Defense Department or whatever bill it is. Okay, Matt, you get the last word.
Well, and now, can you switch to gallery view so people can see? Oh, okay. There's a gallery museum.
Am I? Okay.
All right. You have one more at the end.
Oh, good. Am I okay where I am?
Yeah. Yeah, right. So we can free. How we doing? Just need me to do this. How do I get a gallery here? How do I do that? I'm just out of practice. I'm assuming.
Upper right, upper right. One of those on the upper right should be, there it is.
Okay. Get the standard side by side gallery.
And you're making that small work. I don't know how to make that go away.
So anyway, glad we did that. The reason I wanted to go last is because I added a slide and it's the next slide after this, so that works. No discontinuity. Which you don't have to institute yet, but you can. Okay, good. I wanted to say, so I got to participate in 5 meetings and they were all, you know, for the most part pretty fun. Jeff and I shared one. One of them had been scheduled as a walk-in, just a walk-in drop of material because we hadn't been able to schedule the meeting. And that was with Mike McCall's office. And I was able to turn that into a one-on-one meeting. And it was a lot of fun because it truly was then, you know, just one-on-one. with, because only one aide, and it was the general counsel. So it was the most senior person I'd ever spoken to in this office as a consequence of a walk-in meeting. And it was actually very good. He wasn't knowledgeable, but he was very, very interested. And what I wanted to share from that meeting was, are you familiar with CCL? And it's like, oh, you're the people who get lots of LTEs published. That's what he said.
See what?
You get lots of LTEs, letters to
That's
the
letters to the
editor.
editor.
So,
Oh, yeah.
that's what he is. It's like, you remember anything else? It's like, oh, you guys get a lot of stuff published. And so,
Kalpana.
yeah, thank you, Kalpana, exactly. And to a certain degree, that was why he wanted to meet with us, because I had guilted him into the meeting in part by saying, oh, we're going to meet with over 400 offices, but yours isn't one of them. It's just going to drop off. And I said, well, as long as you get our names off that list. So I just wanted to share that little tidbit. So I wasn't, now I'll move on to my next topic, which is the slide, the carbon pricing, which they actually talked about. It wasn't clear to me how much they were going to talk about.
Well, I think Arjun's online, right? He's been
did
to the
Arjun?
conference as well.
Does our say
Oh, that's
something?
right.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, you did.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm driving right now, so I hope y'all can hear me. Yes, I went to the conference as well. It was great. I led a couple meetings and sat in on a third one. One interesting thing was I felt the Republican representative I spoke with, at least the aide, seemed a little more open to permitting reform than the Democratic representative. That was an interesting thing that, and I can understand the reasons why, but that was just an observation I noticed. And I think with every conference, I feel like just our presence, us being there and us speaking out about these issues makes an impact. It's part of this, it's an important part of this larger puzzle of solving climate change, right? You need the public pressure. So I feel satisfaction in having been there and, shared my voice. And hopefully it makes an impact, in this larger conversation around climate.
Yeah. So I wasn't certain how much they're going to talk about it on the national call, the reinvigoration and the educational component on the carbon pricing. So I just wanted to give some additional detail there. One of the things this was always the topic that attracted me to CCL was carbon pricing, just because intellectually that's what seemed to me to be the most effective and what would work. And in addition to our nonpartisanship, which I think is a real valuable feature of our organization, the other thing the other role I see us playing on carbon pricing in general is that we are we're willing, what we came to in terms of carbon fee and dividend, to me, is a very good part of the Venn diagram. It's an intellectually encompassing part of the diagram. It's defensible in terms of trying to be as comprehensive to the economy as possible. It's defensible in terms of returning that revenue to the citizenry. As in my mind, owners of air and ocean, you just try to redistribute that money as much as possible. But just the fact that wealthy people inherently consume more energy and emit more carbon. So it actually, addressing climate change addresses the inequity issues that exist in our economy a little bit. So we have that nice edge factor, and we may have to do horse trading, to actually get something passed in the end, but we're coming from a very inclusive, very intellectually defensible role. And that actually solves lots of problems. And then we as a chapter have local successes through reach and engaging city council and whatnot that we can talk about. But we also have all the unique challenges of Texas and the pressures there. So, as a chapter, I think we have a lot to offer at the state level and nationally. So that was all I wanted to say on that topic.
Yeah, I was actually curious on that note about, because that is all, I completely share your proclivity for carbon pricing being the main draw for me as well, as it's just that's the best solution. And getting to the conference and seeing what the state of that is for CCL. They showed a clip where they were talking about cases where the legislation was appealed not being durable, which, Australia and Canada, which is very unfortunate, right? Like you hope that like rebate stuff, the whole affordability argument against it wouldn't be a salient one. I guess like, so we know, right? We know it's the ideal piece of legislation for combating climate change and doing it equitably, but it seems like just getting the public to acknowledge that and getting the buy-in writ large of the electorate and the politicians obviously is such a challenge. So was there any follow-up from well, yeah, you got to make it durable? It's like, well, yeah, I mean, that'd be nice.
To a certain degree, I think that's the purpose of the course, is to review what is existent and how well it has or has not worked, and kind of review the reasons. That's why so there's a calendar of activity.
It's kind of started there.
So there's a calendar of topics that's going to be covered, which I just recently saw that. So within CCL, there's a meetup group, Carbon Pricing Action Team, CPAT, that meets on Wednesdays at a conflicting time with some of my typical activities. But I did attend the meeting this week. That's where I got that information, which is why I wanted to share it, because and so anyway, I think just the time has come. We're going to, the durability question is very interesting. Why are some policies durable? How do you get it to do that? Again, I think carbon fee and dividend is a justifiable extreme case that's intellectually self-consistent, because some of the details that have been attached to that implementation as a possibility is to actually have the dividend come first in cycle time. Just allow the first payment to occur one time before you begin the collection, even if it's by a month, just so that you have that visibility, and then people understand where the money is coming from and why not to attach that as a permanent source of income, because the whole idea is that might disappear over time as emissions are reduced. The dividend may eventually fall in time, and then that becomes an active part of the discussion. What does this revenue mean? Why is it occurring, and what is the projection for it in the future?
And Michael, I think you hit the nail on the head. Public awareness of this. Mm-hmm. The strategy of CCL is we need to build more public awareness. The policy is being used successfully all over the world. It is now accepted by most scientists as the most effective, but people don't know it. And so it may well be that there is not going to be a window to pass it. We may pass a C-band, a carbon correction.
That'd be great, right?
But we won't get a regular carbon pricing bill probably until two and a half years from now. But you've got to build it before then to have a good shot. And so that is the CCL strategy. It is still it happens to be that the transmitting reform and transmission lines are a critical element right now that we can pass. So that is the focus right now, but there's a strong focus, and I think they hired someone to do this series, a top person in the country to do this series on pricing. So they're taking it seriously, and that is the strategy. CCL as a whole, the CCL management sees carbon pricing is still the best.
But we don't know the name of that person. You don't at the moment. Or do you
Ricky
remember?
Bradley, no, I don't know the member.
We don't remember.
The person who's going to be teaching it. He's not there. He was in the conference. He spoke.
Yeah, he did.
He was being interviewed by Ricky Bradley. He was
the gentleman being interviewed.
Mark something.
But from RFF, the gentleman from RFF. But we have a really specific and interesting contribution from this issue, because we we, the CCL chapter in the city of Austin, are unique in that we have an internal carbon price at Austin Energy Reach. Most people don't know about it, right? Because, and one can argue, that policy has been in place for 6 years. Some people will guesstimate that it's reduced emissions from the city by like 25%. It was so cheap and effective that most people don't know about it. And it's been 100% positive to Texas. So it's cost Austin Energy ratepayers about $100 million over the last 6 years. But it redirected $280 million of spending from coal importation to spending on cleaner Texas-based energy generation. So it's been a policy that's been universally good for all the cleaner generators in Texas, because that's how any carbon policy will work. It's going to rest most heavily on the most emissive and benefit everybody else who's better. You don't have to be best to benefit. You just have to be better than the worst thing on the market. And so it's that's why it's working. But it's also interesting, right? Most people don't know about it. Why has it been able to endure? Partly because it's not immediately painful. It shows up in Austin Energy as a forfeiture of revenue. So you don't have to pull out money and pay up front. It's like you just have to say, we're willing to forfeit some revenue, a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit of revenue on behalf of the environment. But if the price of electricity is high, we're going to run our coal plant and make money. That's what we're going to do, because that's what the economy is telling us to do. But I don't know if everybody read the paper. It was a headline article this week, Governor Abbott attacking Austin Energy and CPS.
Yeah.
And doing it laughably on affordability, even though both of those utilities are on the bottom quartile of the cost. So it's an insane argument, but he made it. And it gained traction, right? Because that was the headline part. And so if nobody read beyond the first sentence or two, that's what you hear and remember. And so misinformation abounds, as is often the case. So we have this challenge here, right? Misinformation is big. People don't know about the policy, and the benefit is not being advertised. And that's in part because City Council and Austin Energy are leading with their own fear. Plus, they're in a very challenging electric growth demand and high demand in electric utility or need. And so it's a high growth environment, which is challenging. So.
Okay, we should move along. Yep. Next slide. Victoria and I are going to talk to you a few minutes about something that we may well be doing soon, and that is talk about the climate. I think most of us are aware, Catherine Hayhoe, top climate scientist and communicator, has said the most important thing you can do for the climate is talk about it. And it is because we need more people concerned about the climate. It now is on the list of policies that people report they think the federal government should do, but it's way down the list to about number 13. And so the politicians say, we don't have to worry about number 13. We need more people to talk about it. And it also, I think I talked a while back on the positive tipping points. And you're trying to get it to where you hit it, where solar energy then is cheaper and easier and everybody thinks it should be. You get to where electric vehicles are the best thing to buy, which Norway's at. You got to have people aware of things before that happens. Now, much of this is drawn from a CCL presentation 2.5 years ago before Earth Day, where they had a 1 month talk about the climate project. But it is important to do that. And there's a spiral of climate silence. When it's not talked about, people assume it can be as bad. It's not that important to do anything about it. So other people don't talk about it. So we don't work on the solutions, and it continues to get worse. So we want to break that cycle, and this is something anyone can do. Now, just talking about the climate is good, but it is far better to talk about the climate in a way that doesn't turn off people. especially people that we don't know. We can talk to a stranger about climate, and we can have almost every single of one of those conversations a positive effect if we go about it right. So, one slide is missing, but go ahead. So Victoria's going to take the next several slides, starting with there's a process that is especially valuable to use, to keep in mind when you're doing conversations.
And before I go into the process, I want to say one more thing about why we need to talk about climate, because this is just something that in my work as a therapist, I see so many families, and their families, many families, probably some of the ones some of us grew up in, have secrets. And they're things that just aren't talked about. Some families don't talk about who's queer. Some families don't talk about death or money, and when something's a secret, it doesn't get solved. It makes people separate from each other. So I kind of see climate change as a big American family secret when nobody's talking about it. And something has to be speakable to be solvable. So making it speakable's a good start. So the model that we were given, and I'm going to go really quickly because this could take a while and it's not going to. I hope. It's, how do you start? You start with the hard. And if we're thinking back to the bridge trading, we start with the element. If we talk about feelings and how we're feeling about something related to climate change, people are more likely to be able to connect with us because all the research shows, and there's science to this, all the research shows that people generally have their first response emotionally, not intellectually. So we start hard about something that we feel that we're experiencing, a story,
Next slide.
something hard. And then, next slide.
Sorry. And one more. Sorry, and one
more.
This was what we're supposed to show.
Okay, we start with the heart. And it's interesting because you can do it with any level of I had 3 climate conversations in the last 3 days. I've been focusing on it. And one of them was in the grocery store. And it was somebody I'd never seen before. And it was so short. It's hard. I had to ask Bob, do I even count this one? Because I was there in the store and we just kind of come in. And a woman a little younger than me, she was hot. And she had a bandana and she was kind of rubbing her face. And I said, hot, isn't it? And I wasn't even thinking at that point about a climate conversation. She just looked hot. And she said, yeah, climate change. And I said, yeah. And we didn't go farther than hard. But it was good to even connect there. And when I was asking Bob about it, next slide, please. The next step is head. We go from heart, where we connect, to head, where we deal with people's desire for facts and information. And so where I could have gone, I didn't, but because I just wasn't there yet. Next time, where I would go is, yeah, and science shows it's going to get worse. That's a very basic level of the facts, the head. And then we move to hands. What can be done? Because if you stick with only how we feel and what the problem is, people feel helpless. And if we go to the hands, either the communal hands, what can be done scientifically, that we have the solutions, the technology's there. And with some people who are, like the other conversations I had, there were people who were already interested, and they said, well, what can I personally do? And so then we're dealing with these hands, the hands that belong to the person in the room. But as Bob points out to me, a lot of times that's not necessary. We just that there are things that can be done gives people a sense of not feeling so hopeless. And we need not to feel hopeless. We need to feel together. So that's a head, heart, hands model, I think. Is there one more slide on that?
This is the last one.
Yeah, that's an overview. Do you have any questions before I hand it back to Bob? No?
Okay, now, some conversations can promote more things than others. For example, if someone came up, oh, I was skiing all summer and half of the lanes were closed because it was so warm. I don't ski. I can't afford to do that sort of thing. That's not going to get me talking about skiing or the weather as much. But other topics, for example, boy, my relatives in up north can't believe all the wildfire smoke. That is in people's minds and their concerns. That can get people to talk better. And so by what you say, it makes a difference. Now, this is a whole big study. It could be a whole presentation. I'm not going to do that. It's that great organization, Potential Energy, that does great research. And this was based on over 15,000 surveys, plus focus groups, plus more. And they found out that we have an opportunity to talk about something right now, and that is affordability. Of course, if we're talking about affordability, we need to pivot it to climate, which is sometimes where the head can do that. But let me go through some of very quickly the stuff. It's a research firm that does great work on climate. Climate messaging? What makes an effective climate message? Protect what you love is by far still the most important message that people respond to. This is not Democrats or Republicans, it's the entire general population. Protect what you love. All right, I'm going to go very quickly. Affordability is a really important topic. People's ideas about energy costs are not fixed. They can change. And in fact, this one, after certain messages on how clean energy is cheaper, they had a change of 29% more people wanting clean energy than before the message. So the affordability is, of course, very big, and most people see part of that being the gasoline they put in their car and the electricity bills they have to pay. And so that is a topic that can be very, very useful. When you talk about clean energy, make sure they found that the fact that it is local, that is everywhere, sun and wind are everywhere. So you're not restricted to have West Texas do all of it. Unlimited. You don't run out of it. And proven. It is not, do not talk about it as a new technology, talk about it as a proven technology. It is. And that is what has resonated in these tests. So this just gives us an example of a way to talk about the affordability and move it into, clean energy, which is a way to help solve that. And it's there. We know how to do it. Okay, so obviously they have some takeaways from aspects of conversation, goals, and the messages to go with them. So if you want to build urgency, that hey, we need to be doing something about it. The message that is the most powerful is protect the people and places we love. My grandkids, I use them a lot. Making clean, second one, if the goal is to make clean energy feel practical, wasn't very long ago that clean energy was considered something for elites only. It was too expensive and just a toy for that. Affordable, local, unlimited, proven, that's where that message really makes it. Having a real conversation. It's important to have a real conversation. And if you do, you don't want to lecture, you want to listen and you want to hear their values and connect with your values. And that is not as hard as you might think. I mean, who doesn't love their grandkids? I mean, that's an easy one for me. And finally, moving towards action is having something specific that you can tell them that is hopeful, a next step, and it doesn't, ideally, they can say, hey, I want to get involved, and then you can tell them specifically what they can do. But in conversations, one of the big problems of the past 10 years has been too many people feel like it's too big a problem, it's hopeless, there's nothing we can do about it, it's out of our control. And that leaves a negative taste in people's mouth. But if they hear, oh, we know how to do this, we can do this. Oh, Drawdown has 100 different solutions that we can choose from to fix the climate. I mean, there are things that we can say that do that, and it is important. So the two most important parts of it to me are the feeling, getting them to talk about, hey, something about extreme weather or hot or climate is bad, and then not to leave them feeling hopeless. Hey, we know how to fix this. So those are some of the quick results of that. Now I am looking into starting a campaign, and I want to quickly present it, and then I would like, if I can, to talk to I mean, some of you are going to want to do it, and some of you are not. We had some really good climate activists at the Sierra Club meeting who did not want to be a part of this. And it would help for me to understand what your reasons would be for not wanting to, because people have very valid reasons they don't want to be a part, and you shouldn't feel guilty. But I was thinking that we could do a climate of signing up people to be a climate voice. Very low time. You don't have to know much about climate to tell them you're upset about it. And it can be at whatever level a person wants. So they could sign up, make a pledge to do at least one conversation a month, 5 conversations a month, or whatever. And then we would like them to click a link on CCL, and I'm going to try to get PERDACT and Sierra Club and so forth, but there's a link that they can go to without even joining community that will record it. And then also be ready to share any successes or failures at a future meeting, because then we can with different people can know about it. And so finally, we would like to report, not by name, but how many people who signed up to be a climate voice met their goal that month. So that is the basic framework. We don't have time to go into it further today. First of all, just on the face of it, how many people here would be happy to sign up to a Climate Voices campaign? Okay, and those of you who are not interested, and I'll have more information soon. They're going to make a few modifications. This was a campaign done 2.5 years ago, so they're going to update it and give me or whoever's going to do the data part of this access. So I will have it ready for sure by next meeting for people to simply sign up and then simply record their conversations. When you record the conversations, you have the opportunity to put down like who you talked to, what the setting was, what worked or what didn't work. Just a few basic questions that then can share with other people to help us figure out how to be better climate voices. Okay, so that is that now. The postcard project is heating up. We've got about 75 days till the election. We have about 24,000 more postcards. We've got about 16,000 out people running postcards, but we still have quite a few more. Yes. Oh, I'm not telling you to advance, am I?
That's true, but also Artem has raised his hand.
Oh, okay, please.
Yeah, thanks, Ham. Yeah, I wanted to say something regarding the climate conversations. First off, I love that we're talking about this and really appreciate Bob and Victoria for bringing it up and sharing about this. It's very important. I think one thing I personally struggle with is, not wanting to bring it up when it's uninvited, right? Like bring up the topic. That's a struggle that I personally have. So how I navigate it, and I just thought I'd share in case it inspires anyone else. And not to say that I think this approach is certainly valid and a great way to go about it. How I do it is I'm pretty active on social media, so I post stories quite a bit about various things that are happening in the world or policy things, and a big portion of that is climate, right? So, and I usually share like my feed. I think Instagram has sort of figured out like what I'm into, and it's figured out that I'm really interested in climate. So it shares a lot of reels. A lot of reels enter my feed, so I'll share it on my story so that people in my circle or people who follow me will see it. And I always accompany a reel that shows like something that's happened or like an issue or a policy that is or something that's happening in the government, like speak out, right? I accompany it with something like a call to action or like a link saying, hey, please click this link and email your senator, right? So that way the reel shows the problem, and then I always accompany it with a solution so that people know that, okay, there's a problem, and then here's what you can do about it. So it kind of achieves the things that Bob and Victoria were sharing. I personally prefer that because it's less intrusive, and it still gets the message across. But it's up to personal preference on like how to go about it. But that's kind of the route I've been taking, because I do think speaking out and sharing about the importance of paying attention to this issue is very important, especially now with it being so dire, right? So I just wanted to share that perspective in case anyone else feels like taking the social media route as well. And another thing I do in like everyday conversation, like because I'm so involved in CCL, like the common question that comes up when I meet like friends after the common question is, how are you? What have you been up to? Right. And that's like a golden opportunity to say, well, hey, I just came back from the national conference in DC. And, if they're interested enough, they'll be like, oh, what was that about? And then, you can share about, oh, well, there's some policies that we're trying to push for. And, that could be a perfect way to kind of bring it up without like, with it being a little more organic. So just thought I'd share that idea.
Yes. First of all, your social media is so valuable. I'm jealous. I can't seem to do that kind of thing. That is really valuable. Secondly, you don't want to be too intrusive. If you're talking to your friends, they often, like you said, say, hey, what have you been up to? And so that's a perfect segue. I had probably a half a dozen, maybe a dozen short conversations on our driving trip to and from DC and at DC. And people will say, oh, you're from Texas. And it says, yeah, I just went to DC to lobby Congress on climate. None of them felt the least bit intruded. In fact, every single one asked a follow-up question. And so, yes, and that's why, though, the issue of you're at the grocery counter about to pay for your grocery bill, affordability, man, that hurts. There's ways to start it that are not intrusive. And if the person does not respond, then I don't push it. If I get an opening, then I will continue the conversation as a real conversation, not as a pitch. And I usually do not say, and now please go join Sierra Club or CCL or so. I don't, they have to ask me before I would do that. So your points about not being intrusive are very, very valid. But I think there are a lot of ways that can be done. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you, Arjan. Like you,
Yeah.
I make you more of a writer than a talker. And I did a travel journal on our trip. And it had a lot of things about the family and the sites, but it also had things about climate and the policies. And a lot of people asked me questions in the comment section because I posted it on Facebook. And the coolest thing is I had an old acquaintance, we weren't even close friends, from high school, who is a retired judge in California and just a real go-getter. And she said, well, what's CCL? And now she's joined, and I expect to see her in DC next year. I mean, she's the kind of person who gets into things. And that's because I put it in my journal and posted it. So there's so many ways to connect.
Okay, so
That's so beautiful.
yeah, thanks again, Arjan. The postcard project is we're moving, but we need to finish it. I want to do a really quick pitch. One, I am elated at how well we can target these. We're sending them to people who are likely to be alarmed about the climate in a low income area. They voted in the presidential, but not in the midterm. That is supposed to be the easiest voters to flip from non-voting to voting. And so I think we have excellent targeting, and I think we have excellent messaging. As I presented once before, there's been another group that does study on get out to vote, what's effective, and postcards with a social pressure message was twice as effective as any other message on average of getting out the vote. And we are doing that. And we added the second most powerful message, and that was when and how to vote. And so I feel very good about the quality, and it's going to the 3 competitive districts left in Texas. They tried to get rid of all of them, but all 3 of these were gerrymandered. But Cook Political Report has one just leaning Republican, one leaning Democrat, and one a pure toss-up, and they're the only 3 that aren't farther. So I feel very good about who we're targeting. I think when we get this done, yeah, if it is close elections, then I think we can look with pride on it. So. We can talk more about it, but that's too long for this.
I want like 2 sentences.
Okay.
I've been writing a bunch of postcards. I'm up to about 200 now. And
Excellent.
we have the Spanish and English messages. And my English is pretty good. My Spanish, so I use the, I'll take it from the message list. And I was a little discouraged because I wrote over 1,000 last year. And I was slow, starting out with the Spanish. I had to keep checking the spelling. And about 100 postcards in, that went away. So I want to, if you start doing it and you get discouraged because you're slow writing the Spanish.
What caused it to go?
Practice.
I did it until I memorized it.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's just repetitive.
I think I can speak Spanish.
I guess you could. But no, you don't need to
It is transcribing it. So
I'm transcribing it, but
writing these sentences over
But I was
and over
just
and over.
slow transcribing it, and now I'm not.
We were going to do English only, but we have a CCL who lives in the valley, and they said, a lot of people don't know any English. You really should have the Spanish there too. So,
And I put my Spanish first, which seems to be, it feels good to put the
okay.
Spanish first.
Pam, go all the way to postcarding parties. And Marie, did you want to talk to this?
I threw some on the schedule just to see, just to have it written somewhere. but maybe those dates are too late,
No,
no?
Those are perfect.
no, we don't mail them until 3 weeks after the October 2nd.
Okay. And anybody have an opinion on the North Lamar location of the Central Market? Is that good?
Good place.
Well, I also verbally offered our house, but if there's postcards left over after all this,
There's a couple thousand left right now.
yeah, well, if, October 2nd comes and there's still leftovers after our party, then I'll have one at my house.
Anybody wants
That's
postcards?
great.
I got them today.
Some people love to do that as a social occasion, and some people like to do it when they're watching a sports or a TV drama. However people want to do it is fine.
Yeah,
So
I'll send,
if you want any, you can talk to Victoria at the end.
I'll send that that's to be determined date, for the Capital One Bank at
Okay,
the domain.
okay.
Sorry about that, I couldn't remember the location.
I know, it's
Calvin, which bank is it?
Capital One,
Capital One, okay.
yeah, and they have a cafe. And, especially if you are a bank customers, they let you use that big, nice cafe. And, that's how I did it. We had they gave us a table and 8, 9 people were around there and we got them. So it was fun.
Great.
And what did you guys do?
Right, postcard. Right, postcard. Yeah.
Size, number of lines, or bigger the target?
I
There-
think there's some slides from
There
last
are-
time, maybe.
They have several, statements that.
Someone's,
You can.
You pretty much just give a statement, right?
Or if you're good in Spanish.
We
make
wanted
your own.
Arjun and
See?
Mike to talk about the young people.
So I'll show you the one I use. This is the one I use. The shortest, 7.
did someone put in the scale across policies slides that they're wanting to talk about? Or was that last time?
There's a slide.
I know, but I think we can skip all of those. I know we're running a little late. And I'd move all the way to the Austin City Council candidate forum, unless there's someone who was wanting to talk about those. Okay, so moving quite a ways down to the Austin City Council candidate forum. Okay, this slide has the same thing as on the right as on the left, except a little bit bigger. On the right is the flyer that they want to send out, and the steering committee voted to be a part of it. And I thought we were in there. Okay, my bad, that we're not. At any rate, we will be supporting this. It's August the 22nd. It's going to be a long time. Again, when people show up to a forum like this one, the environmental, then that communicates to the candidates, oh, this is an important topic. And a lot of important subjects will be done. So people who can, look at that, 12:45 to 5 p.m. You can come for part of it and leave. But it really is helpful. We will send out an email about this, but it's nice that people can come. But if you can't, then this is not as important as a lot of other things. Okay. Any questions?
Where is it?
Airport, 8,
Plumbers, there's 814 Airport Boulevard.
14 Airport.
It's near the river and airport in East Austin.
Thanks.
And the next item that will be coming up is on September 26th. And we are on the list for this one, I'm sure, at Mueller Lake Park from 4 to 6 p.m. It will be kid friendly. It'll be grandkid friendly. And this will be a climate event, and we expect there to be some news coverage. And so if we have a lot of people there, it's gonna show people are really supporting solar energy. And so that one is important. Okay. Did someone put the good climate news in, or was this last month?
It's probably last month.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's see, it is social media. Boy, the people who do that are really doing a service. That is one of the most important ways to communicate now. So if you can, every time you like a post, it helps that post and the site.
And that's Angie and Carolyn Appleton working on those sites.
Yeah.
And look for Arjun's site. If you like him, you like those two. Man. Okay, Ham.
Okay, this is the Climate Action Program, which many of you know about. For people who don't, each month the Citizens Climate Lobby sends an alert email to members who are engaged. That's a fairly large minority of the roster. For us, it's about 400 out of 2,500. 16% of us are active. A climate alert is something that asks us to do something, to send an email or make a phone call to our members of Congress, asking them to do something, or in some cases not to do something.
Yes.
To approach something. I've written some software that compares our chapter roster and the action tracker files, so I can tell who has responded and who has not. And the people who responded get an email of thanks, and the people who haven't responded get a reminder, except not this month. In July, the ask was to telephone our members of Congress to ask them to recognize how many of us are in DC and how many other people in CCL they're representing. The idea was to get 2,500 calls to Congress. We made 30 calls in Austin. Nationwide, when I got the number, it was 2,318, which is 93% of the 2,500 goal. I think the number's gone up a little bit. The Flannery had a slightly larger number, but I haven't had time to update it. Anyway, the climate actor of the month is the CCLer from Austin, who's randomly selected from everyone who responded to the previous month's climate alert, and also has attended this meeting, is attending this meeting either remotely or in person. Last month, the winner was Matt. Yeah. Well done. This month, we're about to see who is the winner for July. In July, I didn't send out any reminders because it was all over in 24 hours. You had to call on the 27th or it was too late. So I still took a census of who had made calls, and let's see if this is going to work. Not a whole lot of names. People are not nearly as happy making phone calls as they are sending emails.
Well, it was only one day also.
Yeah, but it jumped right.
Adiba, is Adiba here? We'll do it again.
Is it faster just to read who's here?
Cynthia is not here either.
Got applause, part of the electronic.
Yeah.
Jeff Baker.
Come on, Alan.
Did I make a call?
No,
I didn't
Oh, I
make a
thought
call.
Danny Calvera, thank you.
I got one this year earlier, so maybe you want to do it again. I still haven't used my display.
Well, but now you can afford to take somebody with you.
Yeah, you can go.
Now you can afford to take somebody with you.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, day.
I'm the one who made the comment on the National Carl about one of the aides.
I was gonna make that joke. I was gonna ask if it was you.
It was me, and she really did. She got a bunch of calls from CCL and said, "Who are these people? I need to find out." And she went and looked up who we were. It wasn't in this area, but it was in Texas. So they do pay attention. Okay,
Cherrywood Coffee House, very hip place. I've seen some, the Property Brothers. I saw them there, and the guy who does stuff around Texas on PBS. What is it?
Day tripper.
The Day Tripper. He's been there. I've been there. So it's we'll probably be inside if it's going to be as hot as it has been.
Jeff, where is it?
It's off of 38th and a half Street, just east of I-35.
Okay.
So very easy to find.
Okay.
And there's plenty of parkings kind of next door at this office building. They allow people to park there. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
okay. Calendar, we have just mentioned the happy hour. Our chapter meeting will be September 12th. Okay. We have some postcarding party, the Sunday details. So we've already briefly talked about those. Anybody have anything else they want to mention?
This is just a sentence. If you want entertainment while you're postcarding at home and you haven't seen it, the musical Sucks about the suffrage movement is a wonderful thing to watch while writing postcards. Thank you.
If you donate money to PBS and you have the passport, that's your access for it. Okay. And I think that is it. I'll go ahead and mention something that.
Something that I had brought up, I don't know if it got on or not. Arjun, are you still there?
Arjun?
Yeah, I'm here. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we wanted to talk about how we can attract young people to our meetings, and he has joined, and so Mike and Arjun can at least just take a few minutes to talk.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking. And I had spoken to Kalpana separately about this. Yeah, I think I can't speak for everyone, right? Because I think, I don't know how my situation is similar to other folks in my generation. For me, I'm just like really busy with life, between my intense job and then the many other activities I do outside of it. That's why I personally prefer the Zoom meetings, because then I can just listen on the go and share my inputs whenever. It's more convenient for me. So for me, like, convenience is what would be helpful to for my involvement. And meetings being organized, crisp, and I thought this meeting was great. And I definitely want to attend meetings more regular. I think it's really important too. So I'm definitely going to try to do that. But that's the limitation. The limited bandwidth is the reason why it's hard for me. That'd be the challenge that the things that I've shared would be helpful with. So I appreciate you, Ham, for setting up the Zoom. Super helpful. And I'd love to hear Mike's thoughts as well.
Yeah. I certainly can attest to the busyness. With work and other travel. I was just looking at my notes from the chapter meetings that I always take, and my last one was January, which is embarrassing. But I have always had, like, again, speaking of personal stories, there's like a personal ebb and flow to my level of ability to engage, which it does go with the personal schedule. And I'm hoping now as we're gearing up to November and stuff to really prioritize more, despite the calendar not looking any better. Yeah, I mean, there's with I guess young people's a very broad group here, right? I
Yeah.
personally feel myself escaping that demographic, at least in my own estimation, because like you've got like the group of folk, people that are college age or younger that don't have a professional commitment, right? And they might have more time, but they might also be more limited in terms of like, if you're in college or high school, you don't have a car, right? Like tough to make it to the church for the meeting, maybe. I think campus groups is something that, being a college town in Austin here, that maybe some sort of more campus involvement. I know, Arjun, you've spoken about that in the past as well.
Yeah.
I know that, there was that one event that we went to. I think, Matt, you were at that as well. But where that house in your campus that they were doing a celebration for environmental stuff.
Oh, yeah, that was, I think it was Luke Metzger's Environment Texas at their office.
Stuff like that where we can, engage with those groups. Like it's about like finding a forum where we're actually going to be able to, meet with these people, right? Like the other people that we want to get involved. I mean, there's like certainly the like demographic, like young professionals and stuff, like farmers markets, are as good a place as any, I think, where people will be out enjoying the weather, enjoying the vibes at a place where you can get some produce and get some good pierogies if you're at the Mueller. Yeah, it is a challenge. I don't think there's it's tough.
But I think the mixers, like the Zillennials mixers, is a really good way. I feel like some of the approaches that we're having, like whether it's tabling at farmers markets or this, happy hour or Zillennials mixers, I think we're taking the right approach. It could just be that, I don't know. Like we have to do our part to engage, but then on the flip side, there have to be people interested enough to get involved, right? So that's the other side of the equation, which is out of our control, right? So but I think it's important that we put ourselves out there, which I think we're doing a great job of through the various things that I just said. So. And adding to what Michael said, I highly recommend expanding your sample size and speaking to other folks, in the university age group, because like Michael rightly said, young is a very wide, it's a very wide age group, right? So it's important to get like a bigger sample size and, hearing from all levels, of that age group. So, of that strata. So that's what I would say. So I wouldn't merely base any decisions off of just what we've said, what Michael and I shared, but just treat those as 2 data points, and then speak with more people and get a better holistic idea.
There's also climate change makers who sent a representative here 2 months ago. And I think we were deep into some technical issue.
Yes.
And he didn't get really enough time.
Maybe we should invite him again.
Right, either that or go to one of their
Go
meetings.
to his meeting.
Mm-hmm.
The impression I got from him, he was the organizer of that chapter.
Yes,
And I got the impression it was I'll say, younger
yes.
group of people.
He said, he told me it's him and his friends.
That's right.
Once of course, very much younger now. Get together once a month or twice a month for beers somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. That's what he said.
And we can poach.
So Jeff, you have for the happy hour, young people, and I know it's a very vague term in some sense, Gen Z and millennials and, do they come to the happy hour?
Sometimes,
Aurora Schneider met us at a happy hour and
yeah,
then she went to
Aurora
DC.
was there.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes you'll see people at the happy hour that don't come to the chapter meeting.
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't, but she went to DC, so it's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
And there was the gal who's the CCL employee that she kind of does fundraising.
Carolyn,
I don't remember her name, but
that's her name.
yeah, okay. So she was at the last one, I think the last happy hour.
And she wants to start coming more to these meetings.
Yeah.
And how are the Zillennials mixers going? Michael, have you been going to those?
No, not at all. That's
Are they even happening? Like, is
not
Rustam?
happening. I think Rustam stopped the series. I haven't heard anything for months now. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think why don't you and me, Arjun, talk about maybe some next steps here that we can.
Yeah.
Now that
I feel like,
this
yeah,
one
maybe we
looks
should. It's a good thing to explore. Yeah, we can talk maybe internally because I have some ideas. So.
Yeah.
One thing you may encounter is that young people are working on campaigns
Mhm.
right now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a good thing, but it'll keep them busy.
Mhm. Yeah, that'd be the current focus, I think. Definitely
For
of
the
interest.
next 3 months, yeah.
Y'all probably know that Scarlett, who started the Millennials, is in medical school at Stanford. So she has a little less time than she
Yeah.
once did.
Yep, that's also part of it.
But she did take time to go to DC with the permission of her professors.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, thank you everybody for coming. Oh, I guess there's one other thing I can mention, and I can also talk privately with anyone, but a week from Wednesday at the Sierra Club monthly meeting, I'm going to be talking about the research on what election activities are the most effective. And of course, I will be concluding with the postcard project and and making a pitch for the people there to help to start writing postcards.
That's a week from Wednesday.
Do we have an idea what third chapter is doing? I think they're doing postcarding.
I think they are doing, they have multiple activities that people can do. I think they're focusing on borderline states.
Okay.
I'm sorry, not borderline, swing states. And so I think they're writing postcards into swing states.
Okay.
But they do have I do get emails every week about getting involved in the election for Third Act. I want to go and tell them about it, but I can't do it. Their next meeting, I have another place I'm going to be talking about it. So. Hey, thank you all.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Arjun.
Have a good rest of the weekend.
Yeah, they do.